Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I'm sure several of you would be very surprised to see a psychiatrist in this hall. What am I doing here? Well, my earliest introduction to cardiologists was a presentation that I had titled.
Recording in progress.
That was not the title. The title was Have a Heart. Basically, what I was trying to imply, and subsequently I also got an opportunity to share some of my very wild thoughts with some few familiar faces that I see in Bourbon also, is this learned skill of zooming in life and zooming out of life. Now, the talk that you're going to now have is an exact opposite of what you were hearing, the couple of talks just before me. It was all about zooming into the darkest corners of the heart and to look at the electrical activities, the channels, the images, and whatnot. So it was absolutely something where you cannot really look at anything around you. And now what you're going to hear is essentially zooming out of the world that we were introduced to in the last 1 hour or so. And my very dear friend Brigadier Azmat is a champion on zooming in, and what are the things that he was talking about? Amazing, absolutely stirring to look at what you guys are achieving in cardiology. Now, let me first of all try and highlight to you particular assignments. At the same time, I was paying a price for that. So it is our lifestyle that also influences our heart. If you're happy with that correlation and we see this very unholy triad playing a role in patients of heart failure, then I think it will be easier to zoom in and understand that this would now permeate down to the molecular level. That these catecholamines are going to go and dysregulate, generate cardiac fibrosis through those mechanisms that are right in front of you, and you know about these mechanisms much better than I. So I'm not going to go into detail about what interleukin 6 is doing and what is TNF, the tumor necrosing factor, and what is angiotensin 2 doing to your hearts. That's something that you know much better. But I can assure you that the trigger for these TNFAs and angiotensins 2 can most of the time also be on account of your emotions. Now, if you've ever fallen in love in life, if you haven't, please do. You know the flutter that you went through when you saw him or her. Now, that was on account of a dysregulated feeling of love. If you didn't, I'm so sorry for you. So therein is that sort of connection between what I'm talking about for you to keep in mind. Now, this is all possible if you're zooming out of the word of imaging and electrophysiology. Now, let's move forward and try and highlight to you all these chemicals which to me are there as much important for heart as they are for the brain, because I'm a firm believer that heart is not just a pumping organ. That it's a neuroendocrine organ as much as brain is. And there are several studies to show that this traffic that I'm showing you coming from the heart to the brain, do you think it is in parallel? That means that if there is one flow from the brain to the heart, there is one flow from the heart to the brain? Is that what you think it is, that if the ratio is 1:1? Or do you think the ratio is different? Which way is the traffic more? Any ideas from the hall? Where is the circuitry heavier in traffic? Brain to heart or heart to brain? Or the same? Please, can you just get up? Because I want to ask everybody to clap for you. Just stand up. Excellent. Excellent. 5 times more. 5 times more traffic from heart to the brain. So the both are talking to each other constantly. And heart much more so. Whether the brain listens or it doesn't listen is a totally different ball game. But how it talks is through hormones, but it also talks through nerves. And you can have a look at all these wonderful hormones, these natriuretic proteins that are listed right in front of you. All of them produced by the heart, by the way, alongside the various endocrines that you can see that are being produced by the brain and the adrenal glands. So, what is the missing link in cardiac practice? What kind of psychosocial interventions, if you are convinced so far that there is a traffic going this way, that way, and from there to here, then I think we can now talk about psychosocial interventions. But what kind of psychosocial practices are in place in cardiac practice? Well, some of the ones that have been quoted to me by my patients include, आपको दिल की बीमारी हो गई है, अब आप सिगरेट छोड़ दें. आपका दिल अब फेल होने लगा है, आप खुश रहा करें. खुदा के लिए अब तो एक्सरसाइज करना शुरू कर दें, अपना वजन कम करें भाई. This is the usual set of psychosocial interventions that are introduced to a patient who has now developed heart failure. Please correct me if you add some more sentences to this. And this is not what you say. इसी तरह का कुछ है या भाई मुस्कुराया करें, खुश रहा करें, दूसरी शादी कर लें, वगैरह वगैरह. मतलब इस तरह की बहुत सारी बातें. अगर आप अपनी मदर इन लॉ के साथ रह रही हैं तो उनसे जान छुड़ाएं. अकेले रहें जाकर किसी फ्लैट में, जो जिंदगी के 4 दिन हैं सुखी गुजार लें. अब तो आपको दिल की तकलीफ हो गई है, वगैरह वगैरह. As if all these wonderful, beautiful, regular, correct recommendations are falling on receptive ears. Now, my next couple of slides, ladies and gentlemen, actually show through evidence, and there are several meta-analyses actually that have shown that these advices that we give to patients do not work. They do not work because most of the stuff that you're talking about is happening at the autonomic level. And what is autonomic mean? What does autonomic mean? Anybody? What does autonomic mean? Which word does it come from? Autonomous. Something that I do not control. Something that's subconscious. And in fact, unconscious, if I to use psychological terms. तो जब आपने किसी को कहा कि आपने आज के बाद मियाँ से डरना नहीं है, तो उसके बाद आप डरना छोड़ देंगे. Is it something that you control? So what a bizarre statement it is. You are giving advice to the autonomic nervous system of a person. आप आइंदा से कॉर्टिसोल प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेंगे जिस्म में. खबरदार अगर आपने कॉर्टिसोल प्रोड्यूस किया तो. It's endocrine, damn it. What are you talking about? What are these advices that we are giving? They're non-specific, they are prescriptive, and they are based on some understanding of what stress management is all about. It doesn't work, sir. So, अगर आप एक बात मेरी आज के बाद अपनी प्रैक्टिस में इनकॉर्पोरेट कर लें, तो आप अपने आप से ये सवाल कीजिएगा जब आप कोई रिकमेंडेशन देने वाले हो अपने पेशेंट को, कि जो मैं बात कहने लगा हूं इससे, क्या ये इसके बस में है? क्या इसके बस में है? और अगर आपको लगे कि इसके बस में नहीं है, और मैं वही कह रहा हूं जो कॉमन सेंस इसको खुद अंदर से कह रही है. जब आप किसी शख्स को ये कहते हैं कि आप अपना वेट कम करें, तो आप उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन में क्या एडिशन कर रहे हैं? क्या उसने हर सुबह अपनी तोंद देखकर ये नहीं कहा कि मुझे अपना वजन कम करना चाहिए? What is the new thing that you're adding to his armamentarium in life? So अपने आप से ये सवाल कीजिएगा कि जो बात मैं कहने लगी हूं या लगा हूं, ये उसने कहीं सुनी है पहले? So that I think that will answer And a good answer would be, no, I don't need to say this. And probably prescriptive advices anyway are no good. I have listened to prescriptive advices on every Jummah from Maulvi Saab since I was 7 years old. Nothing has worked what he has told me over these years. आपका कुछ बिगड़ गया तो मुझे नहीं, मेरा कुछ नहीं बिगड़ा. नमाज जुम्मा की तकरीरें सुन सुन के और प्रिस्क्रिप्शन सुन सुन के, I've heard them in Punjabi, I've heard them in Urdu, I've heard them in English. Nothing in me has changed since then. So please ask yourself, are you giving a Jummeh ka khutbah to your patient as a psychosocial intervention? So what is the alternative? Alternative, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very simple actually. The only thing that really controls our emotions is our intellect. We are not instinctive animals. We are conscious animals. We are animals who think. So you have to talk to the thinking part of the brain. And that thinking part starts to come in only if you ask a question. So the first statement that you would give is कि देखिए ये मैंने आपकी ECG भी देख ली, आपकी echo भी देख ली और आपको बता भी दिया कि ये हार्ट फेलियर है और इसमें इसकी पंपिंग फंक्शनिंग कम हो गई है. तो आपके ख्याल में आपकी ज़िंदगी में क्या कुछ ऐसा है जिससे आपकी दिल की धड़कन तब्दील होती है और उसके दिल पर असरात होते हैं? By asking a question. This is what Socrates used to do. When he would talk to Plato, he would not give answers and prescriptions. He would ask a question. उससे पूछें, आपको क्या लगता है, क्या है जो आपके दिल पर असर कर रहा है? And let him decide and then ask, आपके ख्याल में इसमें क्या क्या तब्दील होना चाहिए? आपके ख्याल में ये जो तब्दीलियां हैं, इनके तब्दीली लाने में क्या क्या बैरियर्स हैं? आइए बैठ के देखें कि ये बैरियर्स किस तरह से रिमूव किए जा सकते हैं. और अगर वो ये कहे कि मुझे तो नहीं समझ आ रही कि कैसे रिमूव किए जाए, मुझे नहीं समझ आता कि मेरी जो ये उदासी है और परेशानी है और दिक्कत है, ये जो मेरे अंदर एंगर और फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, ये कैसे दूर हो डॉक्टर साहब, ये है जो मेरे दिल को मुतासिर कर रही है. नाउ दिस इज नॉट what is coming from you. This is coming from the patient. And this means that he started to think. And he's become a thinking animal rather than an instinctive animal. And now you're not talking to his autonomic nervous system. Now you're talking to his cortex. Now you're talking to his prefrontal part of the brain. And now he's ready to make judgments. He's ready to make analysis. And now you can assist him and say, look, I can make you a little happier. I can make you a little less anxious. I can make you less aggressive and hostile because I have some medication that can liberate your prefrontal cortex from all these dysregulated emotions. And herein comes my prescription of alprazolam, and here comes my prescription of sertraline, and herein comes my low doses of various antipsychotics like olanzapine and risperidone, because they are friendlier to a heart that is failing, that is, that they are not in any way pro-arrhythmogenic. And that is why those drugs would now help him, because he knows that these drugs are going to make his intellect less eclipsed by his negative emotions. Now he can relate with these drugs. If you are busy writing 10 drugs and in that you also write a benzodiazepine and the sertraline, you've not done your job. I'm so sorry. Because he cannot understand, why have you given him an antidepressant? It was to liberate him. It was to give him a freedom of thought and thinking for the first time in his life that was adversely influencing in his life. And this phenomena done professionally is called cognitive behavior therapy. And if you think your drugs are going to work alone, read my lips, they don't. But when you combine them with cognitive behavior therapy, which is a systematic way of changing the way we think, the way we perceive things, it's a systematic way of doing it, and that is when it works best. And if you can now also introduce to him the word of exercise and tell him that exercise is not about dumbbells, and it's not about doing dand baithak, as we all assume, or running for 5 kilometers, or taking a walk for 80 yards every day that I do. It is about social interaction, connectivity with people you like and love, and be in their company. That's an exercise. Only it's called a social exercise. And to actually connect to the Almighty and understand that He lives within me and has a whole world that He can open up to me, which is my spiritual existence, my inner world. And instead of all the time staying awake to the outer world, can I become awake to my inner world also sometime? That is an exercise, except that it is a spiritual exercise. And I hope that you can introduce your patients to these spiritual exercises as much as you are keen on introducing them to muscular exercises. Now, where must I conclude? Ladies and gentlemen, getting rid of these emotions is an agenda that you can set for your patients. These are very complex emotions, far more dangerous than complex carbohydrates. You know what best complex carbohydrates play because they are part and parcel of our McDonald's and KFC and whatever else you are, and how much against you are about McDonald's and KFC and so on and so forth, and all this fried food that you are so anti of. You want everybody in the entire world to eat bananas, and you want them to eat kheeras. But please also understand that there is something called a complex emotion that does as much destruction as these complex lipids and these complex carbohydrates. And these are those emotions that I'm talking about. Unrepressed hostility and anger. ये जो आपने कीना पाला हुआ है ना अपने दिल में कीना, you have no idea what it is doing to your patient. You have no idea ये जो बदला लेने की ख्वाहिश है आपकी, इसको मैं आज सोने से पहले सीधा कर रहा हूँ. इसने मेरी माँ को कुछ कहा है, इसकी नानी और दादी को अगर मैंने कुछ ना कहा तो फिर मैं सोऊंगा नहीं. This is what is going to change your heart and its response to heart failure. And if you can learn how to get rid of greed, that if you have a car, that's good enough. And if you have 3 cars, it will be very difficult for you to drive all of them simultaneously. That is greed. And it's going to test you here and here and hereafter. That's greed. And instead, if you can replace these with gratitude and forgiveness, ladies and gentlemen, your heart will never fail. Thank you very much.